example is to show you the impact of a stock dividend on the stockholders' equity section. We said that sometimes a company will issue a stock dividend to take some of its retained earnings and turn it into the permanent capital of the company. So anyway, we'll just see how that works. So this is where we're starting off. We've got our stockholders' equity section to start. And we start off with common stock, $100 par, 1,000 shares authorized and issued. Okay, so 1,000 times 100 gives you 100,000. And we have retained earnings of 50,000 for total stockholders' equity of 150,000. So let's say that we, on October 1st, the board of directors declares a 10% stock dividend. So let's go through the little 4 questions on that. If it's a 10% stock dividend, that equals a small stock dividend. So is it large or small? It's small. That means we're going to use the market value of the stock to value it. And then we have to say, well, what is the value? Well, how many additional shares? Okay, so the number of additional shares. That's the second question we ask. And so that would be, we have 1,000 shares now, times 10% more would equal 100 more shares are going to be issued. And then we ask, well, what is the value of this? And that's where the market value comes in. And I think my example says the market value of the stock is $130 per share. So we would take those 100 shares additional we're going to issue times the $130 market value. And the total value of this is $13,000. So we would do the journal entry. And so we would say, okay, we have on 10/1 a stock dividend. And the amount of it we've just calculated to be $13,000. We know we have a common stock dividend distributable. And of course I forgot to allocate between common and preferred, or common and paid in capital. But the amount of the common stock dividend distributable is going to be the 100 shares additional times the $100 par value of the stock, or 10,000. And the rest, the 3,000, would be your additional paid in capital. So our common stock dividend distributable is 10,000. And our paid in capital in excess of par value on our common stock is 3,000. Okay, let's see how this would impact the stockholders' equity section. So we have a stock dividend. We know that's going to eventually get close to retained earnings. But common stock dividend distributable is going to be reported in the stockholders' equity section if it hasn't been distributed by the date of the financial statements. So once we declare it, we would have, right after our common stock, we'd have common stock dividend distributable. Okay, and that would be $10,000. Okay, the 10,000. We still have the 100,000 original shares. This is the common stock dividend distributable, and then we also have our paid in capital. Or in excess of par on our common stock, and that's the 3,000. And the stock dividend reduces retained earnings. You know, they get close to retained earnings. So as a result of all this, our retained earnings is now 50,000 minus the 13, because that comes out of retained earnings. So look at our total. Right now, we have still 150,000 total, but we've got 37 of retained earnings, and our paid in capital, the the invested part has gone up to 113,000. Okay, the original 100,000 in stock, plus the stock we're going to distribute, plus the additional paid-in capital. So what we have done is we've essentially moved some of the corporate capital from retained earnings to the permanent capital of the company. Okay, so now let's, I guess it may be, I forget the date on this, but we'll just say 11 when we distribute it, we go common stock, dividend, distributable, and we issue common stock. So let's see what happens now. We would be debiting the 10,000 distributable because we've distributed it and issued the common stock. So now when we do this, we have 110 of common stock. The distributable dividend, the common stock dividend distributable has been reduced to 0. We still have the paid-in capital, that hasn't changed. So we still have 113 up here, and we've still got 37 in our retained earnings. Our stockholders' equity did not change. Okay, so that's just the impact of a stock dividend. I hope that helps you understand a little bit more what's going on with it, and also to see how the reporting goes. This common stock dividend distributable would actually be reported on in your stockholders' equity section if you had not distributed it before the, if it were on the books at the time of the financial statements and had not been distributed. Okay, so that is the impact of a stock dividend on our stockholders' equity section.